Hi everyone, welcome to Prometheus Unbound, Act 3. I am Dr. B. Vinmayil, Assistant Professor of English, B.B. Vaniya Perumal College for Women, Virudhunagar. In the last video we have seen Act 2. Act 2 ends with Asia and Panthea arriving in the cave of Demogorgon. Asia asks who made the living world and all the good things, and Demogorgon replies God, without mentioning the name of Jupiter, and Asia questions him further, and finally Prometheus accepts that Prometheus enables man to think. Prometheus gave man hope, manifesting itself in different forms. And later on, in the last scene of Act 2, Asia was praised for her life, lovable nature. She is adored by the spirits as life of life, child of light, lamp of earth. In Act 3, we have 4 scenes. The first scene portrays the fall of the supreme omnipotent Jupiter. It opens at heaven where Jupiter lies upon his throne. He calls Thetis and other assembled deities to rejoice over his omnipotence. But he still mentions about Prometheus, whose soul cannot be conquered by him. He calls Ganymede, the heavenly cupbearer, to fill the cups with nectar. Then he turns to his wife Thetis, to whom he says that the third spirit is awaiting for the hour of incarnation. He here mentions about the mysterious child out of the marriage with Thetis, that is Demogorgon, the spirit of eternity. At first, Jupiter mistakes him for an evil power like himself. So he wishes that he will trample out the last sparks of man's aspiration. But when he appears in the core of the earth with the frowning and dreadful shape of darkness, he pleads to him for mercy. But when finding that no hope of mercy could be seen in the eyes of Demogorgon, he resolves to sink and calls for a duel. He fails to beat his own child and falls. He sinks into chaos, that ocean. He sees Demogorgon above him, standing like a cloud darkening his fall with the victorious shadow. And in Act 3, Scene 2, Oceanus, the god of ocean, discusses with Apollo about the downfall of Jupiter. At the mouth of a river in island Atlantis, the god Oceanus shares its happiness over the downfall of Jupiter. Apollo describes how was the downfall, reddened the sky like the glare of sunset, and he explains further that it's like an eagle caught up in the cyclone in the clouds of Caucasus mountain, which is blinded by lightning and beaten with hail, and finally the bird, that is Jupiter, sings on some icy glacier. And ocean also, on hearing the downfall of Jupiter, expresses its happiness over the sea nymphs who no longer will behold ships leaving their track, bloodshed and the cries of slave, and rather they could hear the happy voices of free man and the sweet music. Next, Apollo, even though he expresses his joy over the free mankind, he doesn't want to spend time in the contemplation of the hideous wrongs and miseries of mankind in the past, leaves to answer the call of morning star. Oceanus, as he goes to feed his stormy elements, he beholds the Nereids under the sea, hastening to grace their sister, Asia, who is very much happy on the liberation of Prometheus, her husband. Act 3, Scene 3. It opens with the scene in which Hercules unbinds Prometheus. It is in the Caucasus mountain. Hercules kills the vulture which eats the liver of Prometheus, and he adores the glory of Prometheus, calling him the most glorious among spirits. Hercules hails him as the incarnation of patient love, wisdom, and courage, and he considers Prometheus as the embodiment of strength, which is bound to serve as a slave. And Prometheus next turns to Asia and calls her the light of life, and he assures them that in the future they will be having an inseparable companion living in a romantic and beautiful cabin in the Himalayan mountains. And he next gives a command to the spirit of the earth. He calls him and asks him to get the mystic shell from Ion. This mystic shell is the wedding gift to Asia given by Proteus, a soothsayer, and Prometheus orders him to blow the shell across the globe so that people around the globe would understand the fall of Jupiter, and it serves as the proclamation of the arrival of new age. And next he turns to the earth, and the mother earth expresses her joy over the liberation of her child, and without speaking itself, she could find the rejuvenation of the living creatures which nourished at the sight of Prometheus. And men and animals gather happy dreams to strengthen their flood of happiness. And here Mother Earth mentions about the death, which is the only thing to be reunited, and Asia feeling very sorrow that she could not understand what is death. She asked the Mother Earth, what does it mean about the death, that is the cessation of life to mortal creatures? The Mother Earth answers that Asia being mortal will never could understand what is mortality. And she simply says that death is the veil which those who live call life. And this is highly paradoxical, but it denotes the Platonic quality of Shelley's thoughts concerning life and reality. To be frankly spoken, life conceals the reality beyond death and life. If we consider death as a veil, when it is unfolded, it unveils a new dream world to those who met death. Those who meet death will get into their eternal sleep. In that eternal sleep, they will have a new dream world only at the lifting of the veil death. And Earth next describes the history and nature of the cavern, and it is located beyond the Bacchic hill of Mount Nisa in the land called Punjab, where the tributes of river Indus meet, and there stands a temple of Prometheus, where once he was worshipped with lamps and torches during the ceremonies. Because he is the giver of fire to man, this lamp symbolized the never dying hopes and aspirations of mankind. So, Prometheus' fire, which he gives to mankind, stands as hopes and aspirations. Besides this temple is the cave which Earth and other Asia and her companions will be living forever. In Act 3, Scene 4, the last scene of the act, in front of the Himalayan cavern, Prometheus and Asia with her sister nymphs await the return of the split of the hour from delivering the message of the downfall of Jupiter over the earth. And when he is returning, the sea nymphs or the oceanoids, Ion admires the beauty of the spirit, his star-crowned head and fair hair, whereas Panthea describes his characteristic function. And he is the delicate spirit who guides the revolution of earth. And in the golden age before the reign of Jupiter, we find that this spirit of R calls Asia as mother, and she is so trustful child companion during this age. As Panthea speaks of the child, he runs to Asia's lap with the old cry mother and pleading to renew her love for him. And then the split of the R talks about the nature and love. Finally, he describes the revolution within the mankind. About the fall of Jupiter too. And here we could find Shelley hitting at the loathsome mask of religion. The fall of Jupiter is an anthropomorphic idea, that is, punishing God, the evil power, symbolizes the willpower, the determination, or the aspiration of mankind. This theme is mostly portrayed in all the sculptures of religions, many religions. That is, the tyranny of the supreme evil power should be broken. And the God-fearing man would hate the tyrannical God, and he would question him, protest him, and makes him fall down. Thus, religion is the false and painted veil, the loathsome mask that had imitated with this meritorious yet colors the face of philosophic truth. It tears away in Act 3, Scene 4. In front of the Himalayan cavern, Prometheus and Asia, with her sister nymphs, await the return of the spirit of the earth, which is returning after delivering the message of Jupiter's downfall over the earth. And the sea nymphs, Ione and Panthea, admires the beauty and characteristic function of the spirit of the earth, and he is the delicate spirit which guides the earth in her revolutions. And this spirit was Asia's loving and trustful child companion in the golden age before the reign of Jupiter. And this spirit calls Asia very lovably as mother, and it asks her to renew her love for him. And later on, the spirit of the earth reports to Asia that after the liberation of Prometheus, mankind has undergone radical changes. Even toads, snakes, and elves have put their evil nature off and become beautiful. And the spirit of the earth reports to Prometheus that far more profound changes have taken place. All tyrants have been overthrown and man has become equal, unclassed, tribeless and nationless. Here we could see how Shelley expresses his vision for the future world, where religion has to remove its veil and he envisages a world where man remains scepterless, not being ruled by any supreme power and being free, equal, without having any discriminations regarding the classes, race, tribe, and nation. And here we could find the anthropomorphic idea of punishing God, which is glorified by Shelley in Prometheus Unbound. The evil power, when it becomes tyranny, can be punished by the God-fearing man with his little aspiration. And this idea is mostly reflected in most of the sculptures and scriptures of many religion. So Shelley says that religion is the false and painted veil which is highly loathsome to man, and it has imitated the meritorious things and colors with the philosophic truth, but it has been torn off by the powerful, passionate mind of man. Yes, here Prometheus has torn off the tyrannical image of Jupiter. Thus, Shelley emphasizes the anthropomorphic idea in Prometheus Unbound. Thank you for your patient listening.